What's so hard to understand about that? There are signatures that I look for in price action. If price is not showing me those signatures, it's indicating that I should not touch it. It will chop and bang around and run up and down, taking liquidity in the nearest short-term basis, and then frustrate you. They won't have these sustained runs. They won't run for specific price levels that I teach. It'll have deeper retracements, sharper retracements, all the while not doing very much in terms of price runs. So it's not something to be wrestling with. Just submit to it. Just allow it to be part of your learning curve. And it's something I explained to you last week. It's in a market where, until we leave this range, we're in a very, very small intraday scalpers market. And when that is in existence, you're forced to either trade that way or lose money. Think about any position traders that have tried to position themselves, or swing traders in this model, or not this model, but this price action. I'm sure they've been chopped up. Lots of examples of hoping this runs here, hoping it runs there, and then boop, stopped out. There's some pretty heavy-handed folks in our trading community that have had difficulty right now, publicly. It's hard right now. There's no shame in saying that. It doesn't mean that the market has changed. It hasn't done something different. It's not evolving into doing something else. I had a follower on Twitter tweet to me, say, hey, look, can you come back to this conversation? And he took me to the YouTube, the last live stream, where I lost my train of thought. And what I was going to say is, if the question that I could tell you is the most repeated question to me as an educator, as a mentor, will this ever stop? Will these concepts ever stop? And I got distracted and I wasn't able to come back to that, but I tweeted a response to that person, and I'm going to say it here too, in case people missed it or they missed it. The question I get the most in terms of email, TradingView, comments left in my YouTube channel, comments sent to me, on Twitter. I don't do DM, so if anybody's pretending to be me, I don't ever direct message anybody. But the question, without a doubt, that repeats more times than anything else is, aren't you concerned, ICT, by teaching this many people that they're going to change the algorithm? And the answer to that is unequivocally no. Absolutely not. Because I can be honest and tell you that if I believed that, my flesh would have, even though I made all kinds of promises, the humanity in me, the person that is a sinner, I would have kept it. I would have kept it from myself. And I hope you can appreciate the honesty in that. I don't absolutely believe it will ever change, because the mechanics behind what goes on would have to be something outside of what is the only way it can happen. Large order flow, deep pockets. That's what's the dance between liquidity providers and where the market wants to go. And these markets will allow deep pocket order flow to exist for a period of time. And then that tide, or that trend, if you want to call it that momentum, will shift, and they'll move against it. And that upsets present sentiment, and engages new liquidity constantly. So that ebb and flow in the delivery of price that these price engines deliver, it inspires new order flow by the big funds, the large funds, people with more money than you have. Your little contract trades in here, and then collectively as a retail trader, we're doing very little in terms of the scope and magnitude of the volume that enters these markets. So these price engines are not there to inspire your trade, but by default it does. It's meant to inspire the new position or the collapsing of existing positions in large positions, whales. Think of it like that. Okay. So because that's always going to be a factor, because money is an interest to everyone. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. But using money and having money and acquiring more of it, that's not evil. That's not sin. But if we are paying attention to how these markets work, there's always going to be a seek for yield. Some measure of income, an interest-bearing, instrument. There's going to be a constant seeking of profit. That's never going to go away. Before the markets were there was people buying and selling things all the time. So what you're saying is greed is going to no longer exist. Because that's exactly what you're saying. If you're saying that by me teaching this and showing you how the markets really book, you're saying that I'm going to single-handedly remove greed. That's not going to happen, folks. Money is always going to be sought after. And when there's lots of it to be made, big, deep pockets are going to be trying to go after it. But right now, that's why I'm asking. This is why I get folks that are like, they're adamant against me talking about anything outside of a chart. But all these things I talk about are going to be factors. And I'm going to say this in 5 minutes and close it. You have to understand that the things I refer to, and even some of the tinfoil hat stuff, it may not be an interesting thing to you because you may not be in the United States, but the things I'm talking about are not limited to the United States. We're all going to be affected by it. We're all going to be affected by it. We're all going to be placed on some central bank digital currency for a short period of time. And it's going to have an impact on all of our lives. If we have money, you're going to be controlled on how you spend it. Think about what they're doing. Everything they're doing right now is changing the way money is used. And they're redefining money. That was the whole purpose of allowing crypto to become what it is. And it's going to be gone. You're all going to be forced on a central bank digital currency. And universal basic income is the outcome that they're aiming for. And people that are rich, multimillionaires like me and other people that have made a way for themselves either through entrepreneurship or trading or inheritance or whatever it is, they have their money. We might not be in the coming years because of all the changes that are coming. And that, it might unsettle you. I'm at peace with it. I don't care. Because money doesn't give me happiness. I've been poor. And listen, poor and not having a lot of money, you can still live. You can enjoy life. But money only allows you to afford things that most people can't. And when you have a lot of money, you have a whole lot more worries. More people want to take it from you. More people are going to look down at you because you have it. You think that the money that you're trying to make with this is going to make you a rock star, and people are going to look up to you and like, wow, look at you, man. I want to be like you. No. In reality, they look at you like, you're not going to be looked at like you want. Let's put it that way. And certain weak individuals are going to come around you and try to befriend you because they want what you have. And when they realize that they can't get it, then they'll show their true colors. So it's hard to see real friendship. It's hard to know real relationships when you have money. You don't know a person's real intent, and you always have to second guess it. And when you don't have a lot of money, your friends are more friend. You can trust your relationships because they love and trust you. And a lot of you young guys out there are in a rush to get this millionaire status. And you're young, and you're going to make the same mistakes that I did. You're going to lay down with somebody that, probably isn't the best person for you. And I didn't see it coming, and I got whacked. So all these things that I teach you and talk about, they're going to impact you one way or the other. It's going to happen. Maybe not to every degree, but the things that I talk about are going to impact trading. Oh, it's not going to happen here, ICT. Watch it happen. Watch. Prepare for it. If it doesn't happen, you had insurance. You were prepared for it. But going into this endeavor in terms of investing and trading and turning a blind eye to everything I'm talking about, and I've been talking about for years. Right now, everybody wants to talk about the things that I've been talking about since 2016. Before anything happened, I was talking about all these things. This is what's likely to happen. And it was called Chicken Little, mocked on social media. Look at the world we're living in right now. Does it feel normal to you? Not to me. And it's going to be changing. You want to talk about the things that are changing? Money, how we use money, commerce, all of that is changing. Trading will be impacted by that. They're not taking trading away yet, but I think that it could be used, because think about how many people have gone the way of leaving the 9-to-5 mentality. Now, there's a lot of people that fail trying to trade. I'm doing a very bad job of condensing this in the last 5 minutes, right? I'll wait for my son to peek his head out. The idea is this. By preparing for scenarios that allow for the highest probability for you to profit, and understanding where the snares are, where's the pitfalls, where's the things that you're going to likely do harm to yourself, and avoid that. Don't even walk in that area. Don't even venture into that jungle. And right now, the way the markets are behaving, it's literally like taking a bloodbath and walking into the jungle, waiting to be devoured by the first thing that gets its claws into you. And then wondering as you're being eaten alive, why did this happen? Who's responsible for this? Who can I blame for this? Someone owes me restitution. No, you made a very poor choice. You were ill-equipped, and you went into a dangerous condition and situation, assuming that you would survive it and have no harm done to yourself. That's the equivalent mentally. That's what you're doing right now by trying to trade in this environment. How hard is that to understand? Now, for those of you that are quiet, didn't say anything to me, and you've hurt yourself, lost money, went into drawdown, lost your funded account, failed your funded account challenge, you know every box that I toggled as we went through this discussion, you knew that was the truth, and yet you still pushed the button. Who's responsible for that? I wasn't even around here. I've been away. And some of you, if you're being honest, if someone asked you, you'd be blaming me. At ICT, I watched that video. He said to do this. What? What did I say right now? What did I say right now? I'm taking a step back. I'm not touching it. I need to see what's going to happen. Nothing. Now, yesterday I got lucky. Saw a little bit less than 10 handles of a move. But that was on the heels of me trying to do something long. And I got pinched for 1/4 of a point and reversed and got just short of 10 handles. After that, no idea what it wanted to do. No idea. So I don't look at that as skill. I didn't call that, look how awesome I am, high five, boom, like you see me do when we're in high probability conditions. I do that not to show off. It seems like showing off, but I'm doing it to the viewership that are trying to learn. I'm anchoring that moment. I'm creating that little kind of excitement, that happy dopamine drop, because it becomes much more meaningful to you instead of just watching. Oh well, there's price action that you didn't take a trade on. You can't profit from it. You can't spend the money on it. So it makes you feel closer to the event that we were watching collectively as a community. Well, the short yesterday that I was in front of, my older students, there was no cheerleading in that. It was just, okay, there it is. And I turned them loose to it. I said, okay, have fun with this stuff. I'm not interested in it. But when we're in high probability conditions and low resistance liquidity runs, that means that the market's really easy, like butter. Just slides right on into where you want it to go. It's easy to see it happening. It's easy to see what it wants to do. It's easy to see the entry points. Everything is easier there. Then you'll hear the adjectives come out. The boom. Who do you love? The Joker GIF, throwing the money around and stuff. That's just to make you feel good about that observation that we watched happen. But right now, if I was right, if I was to sit out here and call it right, I would tell you again, this is not something to be viewed as skill, because it's just coincidence that it happened to deliver, because it's outside the model's rules. How hard is that to understand? In this environment, we're seeing people that don't really know what they're doing, getting lucky, and then claiming it's skill. And some of you fall victim to believing that stuff. I did too as a 20-year-old. I thought everybody that was showing me results was being honest. They were able to do that. And I am absolutely 100% being transparent with you. If I see it coming, I'll tell you. If I don't see it, I'm going to tell you I can't see it right now. And that's not an algorithm being changed. It's not me being the catalyst for the entire monetary system being restructured and done all over again. It just means that we're in a consolidation, folks. That's all it means. That's all it means. And it will not last forever. But you have to submit to it. And you have to wait for whatever catalyst is going to be used to move us outside that range and get us moving around again. Just got to wait for it. You cannot impose your will. The sands of time right now, they're going to drop the same speed. They're always dropping the same speed. But your perspective of it, when it's a lot of sand in the upper portion of that hourglass, things feel like they're moving real slow. But that same grain of sand is still dropping at the same capacity and speed. It's always doing the same thing. But your perception is when you lose more of that sand, you feel rushed. And you're doing that with your challenges for your funded account, trying to rush to the state of you being able to make money. I got to get funded and I can start taking money out. I got to trade one more day. I got to do 5 days of trading. I got to do this. All these things are time. They're there for you to blow it. That's why those rules are there. They're not there for you to succeed. So you have to turn everything upside down and look at it for what it is. They are speed bumps. They're barriers. They're in place so that way that funded account doesn't have to be paying you anything. And for the folks that are trading with real money, same thing happens with you. You're thinking, it's been a while since I've had a winning trade. I need something. I need to be encouraged. Well, you should be encouraged by the fact that you're not rushing into doing anything right now and gambling. That's the mindset you should have. That is I see my son now. Gotta head back to the RV. It's right down the street from me, so I gotta pull up. That's the mindset you need to have. You reward yourself for not doing impulsive things, and that's the reward in and of itself. But it doesn't have any profit behind the ICT. It doesn't have a losing trade either. I told you I don't like to wear a safety belt. It's like trading without stop loss ICT. You need to wear your seatbelt. Shut up. So there's rules to this game. There's rules of engagement that you're going to have to submit to. And if you don't, you will pay the price. And if you don't have these rules written out and follow them, you will not measure your growth. Not psychologically, not monetarily. You'll have no measure of knowing what it is that you should be expecting in terms of progress. How much have you grown in the last 2 weeks? Some of you want to quit. Some of you are regretting ever starting because you think it's impossible. I'm just trying to tell you to take a step back, go back to that daily chart and what I mentioned last week. It needs to leave that. I promise you, when it is out of that range and we're now moving freely again, all this stuff will be easier to see in price action again. You'll think to yourself, man, I was sweating it back then. And it's only been 2 weeks.